Hey everybody, it's Alex from Heavy New York. We are back at the Kingsland in Brooklyn, and today we are here with Dan of Enterprise Earth. Thank you for your time, man.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Yep. Congrats, a lot of great things is happening. Luciferious, your latest record, is coming out April 5th, and you got to sign with eOne, and you worked with Jason Suecof on it. You just want to give a rundown on the record cycle thus far for Luciferious this early?
Yeah, we've been sitting on the record since I think we started working on it. I think last fall, and we've got the demos done in like a month and a half. And since we hit the studio with Jason, nothing has really changed much except for obviously the production value. So we've been sitting on the songs for a while, and we're just like kind of antsy to release them. And honestly, I'm already sick of the record because I've heard it so many times. But yeah, so far it's so good, and eOne's been great. We got all the support we need and all the financial backing to get everything done correctly the way we want it. And so far, it's the first time we've had, the financial support to do it done or get it done the right way.
Yeah.
And so in the past, we've had like smaller budgets, and finally with eOne, we got a bigger budget to do it, how we want.
Which is awesome. Now, working with Jason Suecof, he's worked with Black Dahlia Murder, Job for a Cowboy, Arrival of Autumn, so many awesome bands. When with working with him, did you go up to him being like, this is what we want, this is how we want the record to sound, or did you let him bring a little bit of his own mix to the record?
I think with how we are, we want it done organically. We don't want to be like, hey, make us sound like this band, or hey, we like this mix by you, so like go build off that. We kind of wanted our own unique organic sound, and we wanted to kind of accumulate the way it would naturally by all of us just like going and focusing on one tone at a time, one piece of equipment at a time, until we had something that like worked cohesively together to bring the record to life. Okay. And so we just trusted his like sharp ears and trusted his judgment, and that's how we did. We just kind of built it one tone at a time, one layer at a time.
Awesome. Now, being the vocalist of the band, you have to obviously focus on technique, but you also have to focus on lyrics. So do you need to hear music to come up with lyrics, or do you sometimes have a concept behind your music, and maybe that helps determine the music itself?
I definitely have a concept beforehand, and then that way I kind of have like a storyboard to fill in the details first. So I think of like what do I want this next record to be about, and then I go from there. And then each song I kind of envision it as a chapter in a storybook, Mm-hmm. And so then I start filling in the pages.
It has to get a little bit easier too when you have like riffs and like arrangements done to get the exact lyrics down, right?
Yeah, I literally go one section of the song at a time, and so I kind of break it down even further, and like each riff is kind of like one scene in a movie or one like paragraph in a chapter,
Yeah. And nothing could be more heartbreaking than having the perfect set of lyrics and then seeing that they're like two syllables over like the actual arrangement.
I'm like, this is so sick, and then all of a sudden I'm like, wow, it does not fit at all.
Yep. So you gotta use it for something else.
Yeah, or I just rework the words and try to get the same meaning behind it, or describe the same visual with just different words or something.
Now, does Enterprise Earth tend to take a new approach with every album, or do you kind of have like a formula or a template that you normally stick with?
Well, the first EP that we did was our first, like, we didn't even know what we wanted to do yet. It was just me and BJ Sampson, and he was writing guitars and instrumentals, and I was doing vocals and lyrics, and we didn't know what we wanted, and so we just kind of like, shot shit against the wall. And after that, with our next record, I was just like, okay, let's do what we did, but like let's take it further, and I want it to be a lot darker and more evil and menacing and depressing. And so then we took that direction. And then Embodiment seemed a little bit different. I think Embodiment was a little bit more rushed and a little bit like, I guess, kind of directionless in the sense of like style, because the way it worked was I think BJ actually wrote the material, that the instrumental album, in like 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, he just like hammered it out, and then he didn't send me the material until it was completely finished. And the way I like to do things is to work side by side with the writing, so I can be like, okay, we'll cut this part in half, or this part sounds a little weird, so like let's add this. So once I got the album, there wasn't much room for me to actually make any edits myself so that my vocals could flow better. So it just kind of like ended up us stumbling on our own feet in a sense. But for some reason, I feel like the records that the artist has the most trouble with are the records that do the best.
Yep.
And they end up like hating to play those songs live and everything and just like hating the album, but then all the fans are like, that album rules, you know?
Yeah, I think Slipknot had that curse with Psychosocial. Like they said they hated that record, and that ended up getting them like a Grammy or something like that.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, kind of going back to your lyrics, what I was curious is, being that you mentioned that you have a concept in mind and stuff, do you like to leave your music open to interpretation, or are you trying to inform or enlighten your listeners on the what you're singing about?
I do like to leave it open for interpretation, but the people that follow my social medias get a kind of an inside look at what the songs are actually and really about. You know, the lyrics themselves do. I mean, I feel like with any song, they can be interpreted any sort of way, unless they're just like written directly, like, you know what, fuck the government, you know, then it's obvious the song is about fuck the government. But I'm a little bit like, I'm a fan of like poeticism and just like, you know, go like taking it kind of artistically and using the lyrics as kind of like a poetic narrative to a visual reference in my mind. And so with the album, once it's released, I did this with Patient Zero. I want to actually write down what I was visualizing to go side by side with each set of lyrics for each song, so they can actually picture what the lyrics are about. And so you can read the lyrics next to it, and then after you read the lyrics, you read through my description of what the song is about and what it means to me. But that obviously that's not going to be blasted to everyone that is a fan of Enterprise Earth. It's just going to be people that follow my personal pages that get that special insight.
Does that image in your mind that you come up with ever change as, you know, you're laying down arrangements and tracking the stuff? Like as the artwork is coming more to life, do you maybe have like a more rendered image in your mind, or like?
Yeah, I take it frame by frame. I start out with a picture and like what I roughly want the whole song to be about, and you know, after that I like start with the first like the intro or like the first riff, and then after that I kind of let the song take me, you know, through my own experiences. You know, it kind of like leads me through it, and I just let it take me where it may. And
And being that, you know, I just saw that you were doing the meet and greets and everything like that, what I find interesting is, you know, you're putting your artwork out there so fans are taking it into their own interpretation. If a fan tells you this is what they got out of that song, even if it was nothing like what you were going through, can that maybe change your perception on your art depending on what you've heard about it?
no, because I feel like it doesn't change my perception at all, because it's like, you know, it's, you know, they're my songs, they're our songs, and I'm sharing with them with the world. And so the greatest thing about music is that it can touch people in any walks of life. Like I can listen to a Christina Aguilera song, and even though it may be about something else, one line in that song could mean so much to me and resonate with me so highly in the current situation that I'm in. And then there's other songs too that I've listened to and have heard in the past, and have literally been like, this is garbage. And then later on in life, when my walk and my path evolves and I evolve as a human, later on I can still resonate with a song that I thought was garbage yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, it's all about perception. That's the greatest thing about music, is you literally can resonate with anyone and everyone in all walks of life, whether or not they believe in what you believe in or care about your message. It's just, you know, some people just even resonate with the sound itself, not even the lyrics.
Yeah. I feel like guitar melody and sometimes rhythm is just like the lyrics, because they could also convey a certain emotion and a certain atmosphere that the lyrics as well can demonstrate.
And that's for me as a songwriter. I like when I write lyrics with alongside of instrumentals, I don't like to show off and be flashy with my vocals. What I like to do is like accompany the instrumentation so that we work together on delivering, you know, a musical sound, a soundscape.
Interesting. And the final question I have for you is, because you guys, Enterprise Earth originated in Washington, right? Or
Kind of. It's very shaky. when I started the band, I lived in Gary, Indiana, and my guitar player BJ lived in Spokane, Washington.
Okay.
Yeah, and so at first we had like, oh yeah, we're from Chicago, Illinois, because I lived really close to Chicago, and I was like hanging out in Chicago all the time.
Right.
And then we were like, okay, let's switch it to Spokane because you live there, BJ. And then went from that, and then we had members from literally all over the United States playing in the band, and then like the lineups kept switching and changing because some were kind of fill-ins, some were just not good people, and some were amazing people but just couldn't handle touring, or some people just had different visions of what they wanted for the future.
Yeah.
And so now we have a guy that lives in Pittsburgh, Gabe. Aaron lives in Seattle, and Rob lives right outside of Seattle. BJ lives in Spokane, Washington, and I live in Indianapolis currently.
Oh, okay. Because I was about to ask if maybe like Enterprise Earth came from like a certain scene or something like that, or
Nope. Unfortunately, we don't really have a hometown show.
maybe that's even better because the hometown shows are always the most pressuring.
I don't even know what that's like. I've lived so many different places in my life that I have no idea no place could ever claim me,
Okay. So being a band that traveled more to get your name out there, it almost seems like by not having a hometown gig, I don't know, maybe each show kind of feels equal or something like that. Whenever like a band like a New York City band plays in New York, like that's always the important show, and
I'm almost kind of jealous of people that have like a home like that, that's so supportive, and just like, fans that are like, you're from where I'm from, you understand, like, you're winning for us, I'm almost kind of jealous of bands that have that, because I've never actually lived in one place long enough to have a place that I could call home.
Okay. Interesting. And I'd imagine that maybe influences your music as well.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time. Your new record's coming out April 5th. Is there just anything else with Enterprise Earth that you would like to promote in terms of tours that you're allowed to talk about?
We have this tour, obviously. It's the co-headliner with Lorna Shore and special guest with Destruction and Body Snatcher. Yeah. And we have one unannounced tour that we're not allowed to talk about. It's announced, but we're not allowed to say we're on it yet.
Okay.
And that's exactly after this tour. And then we meet up with Chelsea Grin, Slaughter to Prevail, and Traders on the... Shit, man. I forgot what it's called.
Yeah. Yeah, but I remember that tour being announced. I might go out to Revolution for that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Yep. Everybody, Dan of Enterprise Earth. Be sure to pick up their new record coming out April 5th, Luciferous. We'll see you next time on Heavy New York.